I'm here with Dick and Nan Walden. They run the largest pecan farm in the world, actually. Dick and Nan, can you guys share some information about the shortage of labor that you guys need and how documented and undocumented immigrants play a role in filling that need?
Well, we have 270 permanent employees to work on the pecan farm and in the processing plant year-round. But during the harvest, which is roughly from November until January, we have to hire an additional 50 to 60 workers, which we could not keep on all year round and still stay competitive in our business. So that's the challenge of getting temporary workers that can come in legally. And by the way, our company uses E-Verify for all of our employees, so we're confident that they're legal. But we're a little more fortunate than some of the other agricultural industries because some crops are very perishable, like grapes or lettuce. And so if you can't get the right number of workers, literally within a few days, you can lose the majority of your crop. Our nuts are a little more forgiving that way. But still, it is a challenge to get good people some years. And when the construction industry is up or other industries that are a little more competitive, it's tough to get enough workers. And we're a large employer in southern Arizona, and we're very grateful that we have second and third generation employees. The kids are all going to school and becoming productive, wonderful people in our society. But fewer and fewer Americans are working on the farm. Only about 2% of us now work on farms and ranches, but we feed not only America, we feed the whole world.
So it's safe to say that there is a shortage of laborers in y'all's sector of the economy. We need more workers. There are jobs that need to be filled.
There are definitely jobs which need to be filled, and I think you only need to look as far as the dairy industry, the and we'll go outside of agriculture to the hospitality industry and the healthcare industry. Who changes the sheets in the beds and puts the fresh towels on the racks in these rooms that we're staying in this hotel?
Immigrants.
And exactly. Restaurants, and healthcare, and elder care, and so many other areas where, frankly, a lot of our other citizens really don't want to take those jobs. They're entry-level jobs, fast food. The great thing about it is if people start in those jobs and they work hard, they can advance rapidly. But we have a friend who has a fast food franchise of 65 restaurants throughout Arizona. He employs, in the course of a 10-year business plan, over 100,000 people. So there's a lot of turnover. And that's good for our economy, but it's also good for the people then that can go up from a minimum wage paying job in advance and maybe go to school part-time, particularly if the company, like our company does, has a policy of assisting people with tuition credits and so on. So, and we're aging. The average age of the farmer has gone way up. I believe it's something like 65 right now. So because a lot of young people don't want to stay on the farms, they'd rather work in IT or other areas, which is great. But many of the people coming in, for example, in our part of the country from Mexico, they've lived on farms and ranches. They know how to deal with livestock. They know how to repair tractors. They know how to weld and do all those important things that are part of maintaining an agricultural operation.
And I think it's very important that in America we do grow our own food in some senses, because that's very important. I know the transportation cost is high, but also, if anything ever happens, it's very important that we have our own source of food to feed our people.
You are so right. That's a security issue. You are exactly right. A lot of Americans forget about.
If we don't have people that harvest the crops, particularly the perishable crops that Nan referred to, then where are they going to come from? It's going to come from overseas, and it won't be as fresh when it gets here. It won't be as healthful.
Has it been inspected?
There is that food security issue.
Right. Has it really been inspected? We have a large component of our farm that's organic. Can you trust the certification process in other countries? We've had problems, for example, with toys from China coming in with lead paint, things like that. So that's another, you hit on a really important aspect of this, is that we pride ourselves on traceability. We take great pains because there's food terrorism too. So we're close to the border. So we have all kinds of checks and balances to trace our foods and have barcodes, and we practice, God forbid it happens, recalling our product within 2 hours. I don't think that you can say that all the overseas producers would have that kind of technology.
So can you shed some light on maybe problems that you have with the immigration system, being able to get the proper permits to hire seasonal workers, legally, to be able to get enough workers? Is it something that needs reform?
It does. I'll tell you, a lot of the programs that are in existence are just not practical. For example, in some cases you have to advertise for 75 days that no American wants that job. Well, if you have a perishable crop, it's gone by then. That's not going to work. The other problem is that a lot of these programs have been cut back drastically. So like the HB1 visa, they're taking, it's down to a trickle. So, that is a real problem. You need practical, workable temporary visa programs. We would like to see a guest worker program. We advocate that, and there should be a way to vet these people, give them a biometric ID card, be sure they don't have a criminal background. And by the way, it is not the fault of the undocumented that we have not enforced our immigration laws since 1986, basically, since the Simpson-Mazzoli Act and what President Carter did. And so, yes, we're a nation of laws, but laws reflect the values of our society. And there were plenty of laws on the books that were not just, like segregation, like women not having the opportunity to vote. And I could go on and on, child labor laws in the Industrial Revolution. So we change those laws as we become more enlightened and more compassionate. And America has always welcomed the stranger. All of our ancestors, in my case, my grandparents came from Scandinavia. They all came from somewhere else, unless we're Native American. And that has been the great strength of America, the diversity and the genius of new ideas. And some of our greatest inventions have come from immigrants.
Well, one of the things that I wanted to add to that is the fact that if we have a good guest worker program that functions effectively, this will reduce the number of people who are coming across the border illegally around the ports of entry, because they will be vetted, as Nan said. Then they will have their documentation. They will arrive at the port of entry. They will come through. They will know that there's a job at their destination. They will come and work for a period of time and then go home. They really don't necessarily want to come here except in order to provide for their family and their children in a better way than they are in their own country.
And that will help, in our example, because we're so close to Mexico. Our farm is 30 miles from the border and our ranch is 20 miles from the border. That will strengthen the Mexican economy and stability. And as one of our greatest trading partners and sharing that border frontier, that will strengthen America too. It's a win-win.